Is Minecraft new to you? Me either. Stick around to hear an alpha version player's take on the current state of the game. A new month means new Game Pass quests. Normally I ask you to stick around for a first look at one of the monthly quest games, including 3 things I like and 3 things I don't. But truth be told, I first played Minecraft over a decade ago. I've dabbled in and out of it over the years on multiple platforms, so I'm going to be giving this a fresh look on Xbox, not a first look. I use these Game Pass quests as an excuse to try new games. I don't look for the most efficient solution for the points. Yes, I want the points, but I also want to experience the games. I strive to review each of these games that I play, including what it took me to get the quest and if there were any achievements gained along the way. First up, we're going to talk about the monthly Game Pass quests. There are 7 quests that refresh every single month and are the same every single month. Total point value here is 1,270. The first one on the list is Quest Rookie. This is a 10-point quest, and to get it, you complete 4 weekly quests. This can be completed in 1 week. Next up, we have our only other 10-point quest, Game Pass Explorer. To get this one, you play 4 different Game Pass games. You're going to have absolutely no problem getting this quest by the end of the month, and likely by the end of the first week. After this, we move on to our 25-point quests, starting with Quest Apprentice. To complete this one, we need to do 8 weekly quests, which is impossible to do in 1 week because you don't have 8 quests available to you every week. You should be able to knock this out in the second week of the month, though. Moving along, we find Game Pass Adventure for another 25 points. For this one, you have to play 10 different Game Pass games. You could get this in 1 week if you wanted to, but honestly there's no rush here. You will get this if you are trying to get Game Pass points on your weekly quests. Moving into the big leagues, we have Game Pass Games on the Go for 100 points. To get this one, you have to install 5 games from mobile. I always use the Game Pass mobile app when I'm interacting with Game Pass quests at all. This gives me my daily quest of logging into the Game Pass mobile app, as well as allowing me to easily come in here, select a game, and install it from the Game Pass mobile app to get this 100-point quest. I have had issues in the past with the Android app where I've had to close the app and come back in, and I've had sometimes when I tell it to install but it doesn't actually install, but generally speaking I don't have any trouble getting this by the end of the month. The next quest we have on here is Quest Dedication for another 100 points. This one requires us to do 12 daily quests and 12 weekly quests, both, not one or the other. The 12 daily quests is super easy to get, you won't have any trouble doing that. That's 6 days of doing both of the quests. The 12 weekly quests, again, if you're doing your quests, you shouldn't have any trouble with this, you'll get this one in 3 weeks. Our final monthly quest that refreshes constantly is a 1,000-point quest. This one requires 45 daily quests and 15 weekly quests. Now the 15 weeklies isn't any trouble, again, you should get that in about 3 weeks. Maybe all 4 weeks, depending on how you do with your weekly quests. The 45 dailies, on the other hand, is surprisingly easy to fall behind on, so you really want to make sure you're getting in and you're at least launching a Game Pass game every day, and you're getting into that mobile app every day just to turn in your points and get your 5 quest points if nothing else. Moving on from these 7 quests, we have 4 more quests that show up every month. These 4 quests change every month, and each one is for a different game. These quests are 75 points each, and we're going to start out mentioning Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. We have to play 1 Training Grounds match to get this quest. I did help someone with a book about Rainbow Six Siege once upon a time, so I'm familiar with the game, though I've never played it. I don't anticipate any trouble getting this quest, though I do suspect there's a good chance we'll get an achievement while getting this quest. The next one on our list is for PUBG to play 2 matches. I've actually played PUBG on mobile, but never on the Xbox. Generally speaking, with first-person shooters, I prefer to play them on PC, but I'm not anticipating any trouble getting these 2 matches played. Again, there is a possibility for achievements here. I don't know what kind of achievements PUBG has. The third game on our list is Final Fantasy XV Royal Edition, where we have to defeat 10 monsters. The Final Fantasy games have changed and evolved a lot over time, and I honestly haven't really been in the series that much for the last 8 or 9 years. I do believe I'll be able to finish this quest without any trouble. I don't know if I'll be able to do it without getting an achievement. Finally, we're going to talk about Minecraft. For this one, we have to break 1,225 blocks. Apparently, there are daily, time-limited free goodies throughout December. Maybe we'll get one or two of them as we're playing. Before we dive into Minecraft, I want to mention that I do these reviews on the side, and I always hope to review each of these monthly games in the first half of the month, giving you time to decide on whether you want to go for those points or not. The reality is that it takes time to play enough of these games to make a decent review. Then I have to write the review, record the script, and cut together a video. If you like the end result, then please subscribe down below to let me know. The more subscribers I have, the more I can justify the time and effort to get these out early, and the better chance we have of me getting all of the games done in any given month. I play these games on an Xbox One X while I wait for the chance to order an Xbox Series X. I wear Turtle Beach Stealth 600 headphones, and I use the controller that came with the console. I'm hooked up to a 27-inch 4K HDR monitor. I do go through a capture card on a computer, and I can't quite record 4K HDR while streaming, so I don't stream when I'm playing an HDR game. But I'm hoping for a new CPU and video card in the spring to help resolve that issue. My system specs are down below if you're interested. Now we come to Minecraft. This is essentially a first-person survival game. Its claim to fame is the 8-bit block style. Even the new ray tracing enabled Minecraft sticks to that same formula. Though, from what I've seen, it gets quite beautiful. On the Xbox One X, we aren't messing with ray tracing though. Just the same Minecraft that we've all grown to know and love over the years. Graphics have never been this game's claim to fame. In fact, the blocky graphics have generally been a point of pride. Over the years, one thing that's come from this is huge visible distances. They don't seem as far on the Xbox as I remember them getting on PC, but that could just be me, and my poor memory. The textures, on the other hand, are just as low res as I remember, with lighting and wander just as simple as they have been in the past. Basically, this game has not had a graphical overhaul in its time, and that's okay for what it is. The soundscape in this game has expanded over the years as more things have been added in, but the sounds themselves remain relatively simple yet effective. There is seldom any question as to what you are hearing, and the sound even has some directionality. The first time you hear a given creature, you may not associate it immediately, but you'll be able to see them, and then in the future you'll make that association without any trouble. There is some light background music on occasion, very MIDI sounding, in keeping with the game's retro feel, which was honestly retro even when it came out. This game is listed as costing $20 down to $16 with the Gamepass discount when I recorded this originally. There are versions that include a number of texture and skin packs available for $30 and $50 down to $24 and $40 as of the recording. The game has a lot of DLC, mostly skins and textures, and this is all managed by the in-game currency of Minecoins. Spend real money on the Minecoins, spend Minecoins on the DLC. Likely, once you get one thing with Minecoins, it'll be very difficult to plan a way to get yourself down to 0 Minecoins, so you'll always have pressure to spend some more, even if you have to buy more Minecoins to do it. This is a pretty standard thing for companies to do when they use an in-game currency like this. Finally, with the DLC, there are also packs that have a little bit more story or direction to them. I haven't played with any of these, but I was reading about them a little bit. Speaking of that Game Pass discount, the Game Pass quest for this was relatively easy, though it did take some time. You have to break 1,225 blocks. In this game, breaking blocks is how you are able to accomplish basically anything. So it's going to happen through normal gameplay, although you are likely to get an achievement before you break all of those blocks. You play this game as Steve, or Alex, though you can change your name and your character skin without any trouble. There isn't a story, and when I started playing back in the day, there also wasn't that much to do. This game has obviously grown over the years, and some content to add a little bit of story was added, even early on. There was a final boss of a sort that was added at one point, and you get some credits after you defeat the boss, but it doesn't end the game. The game just keeps going forever. Some people, when they play, create stories for themselves, and some of those DLC packs that I mentioned earlier create story in the game for you as well. Really, this game as a whole focuses on surviving, building cool things, exploring, and emergent gameplay. So really, the bulk of any story you're going to find is the story that you create as you play. If you don't care about story, you can just play and enjoy the game. If you do care about story, you might struggle a little bit unless you're good at crafting your own story as you play. The gameplay is first person with simple game interactions. The basics in this game are mining by breaking blocks, and a block is really anything in the world. Then the other things you do are you can craft things from the materials. Whenever you break a block, you get materials from it. And then building things with some of the materials you get as well, and some of the things you craft. There are creatures to interact with in the world, and they're generally referred to as mobs. Some of these mobs are friendly, most of them are neutral, and a lot of them are hostile. Most of the hostile mobs require it to be dark, and they will actually burn up in sunlight. Combat is generally not that difficult, though some more advanced mobs require some actual tactics or special equipment. The other main activity, building and mining, are extremely easy. The most difficult part used to be knowing what you could build, but on the console you have a recipe book, and instead of having to figure out, you get to just pick from a menu of what you want to build. The game isn't inherently difficult, and there is a difficulty setting that can be set anywhere from peaceful, where there aren't even any hostile mobs, to hard, and all that means is that you can die of starvation, and the mobs are a little bit more aggressive and difficult to defeat. On top of those settings, you can also play in either regular survival mode or in a creative mode. In the creative mode, you're free to build anything at any time, no need to mine for materials, and you can also fly around the world. And then there's also an adventure mode, and this ties back into some of that story-oriented DLC we talked about earlier. And that's a mode that I just have not played with. The controls for this game are simple. As with most first-person games, it has a left stick for moving and a right stick for looking around. The triggers are your main interaction with the world through attacking and mining, or interacting and placing blocks. The buttons are used for things like jumping, flying up and down, swimming up and down, opening inventory, and getting to the crafting menu. The controls didn't take long to get used to, and most people should be navigating the game easily after just a few minutes of play. The gameplay loop here is centered around exploration and creating. If you aren't interested in exploring the world or building stuff, you'll likely lose interest in this game fairly quickly. In survival mode, building things requires materials, so the game is centered around gathering those materials you want to build the things you want. This takes you deeper and further from your starting point, eventually into the netherworld, and even on to the end where the boss Ender Dragon lives. If you aren't driven by creating elaborate things, then exploring the world may entice you to roam far and wide. You'll still end up doing some building, as crafting the best armor and weapons requires materials and building the support structure to get said materials. The replay value here is essentially endless. The game world is extraordinarily huge and randomly generated. You can input a specific seed value to generate a specific world as well. This means if you like the gameplay but you feel you've done all you can in the world that you're in, you can just create a new one starting over. There is also multiplayer, so you can go online and you can play multiplayer if you would like. That adds another layer of replayability, and there are even persistent worlds out there that you can purchase your way into or purchase your way into hosting yourself, so that you and some friends could have a long-standing persistent world that you can log into at any time and see each other while you're there. Even after all this time, remember I started playing over a decade ago, there are some things I don't like about this game. From the very beginning and persisting to today, there's a lack of direction when you start the game. There's not a tutorial to get you going in the right direction, and surviving that first night can be really tough if you launch the game without any idea of what you're getting into. Of course, at this point, Minecraft has become something that's almost impossible to go into blind. I'm also not a fan of the lack of story. Back when it was in alpha, it made sense that there was no story. But after the Ender Dragon was added, it always felt a little cheap for me for there not to be something like a monolith that spawned within a biome or two of your original location that would send you along a path towards defeating the Ender Dragon. You just had to find out about the Ender Dragon and the way to go defeat him online, not in-game. I get that the game is about building and survival, but a story, even just a little, would still be nice. Finally, I've always wanted better textures for the game. They are available, but they're DLC. Yes, you can get free ones on PC, but this is of course an Xbox Gamepass review. I know the look is really part of this game's thing, so I understand why there aren't better textures, but that doesn't detract from the fact that I really like high-res textures, and even within the blocky aesthetics of the game, I think they can be done really well and go a long way to enhance the enjoyment of the game. I'm going to keep the dislikes and likes to 3 since the monthly quest update is also on this review. You can keep it to 1 like though, liking the video using the thumbs up button down below. If you don't like the video enough for that, drop me a comment and let me know how to improve it. I do these reviews for you and not me, and I'm always looking to do the next one better than the last. Your feedback can help. I do like the open world aspect of this game. I tend towards exploration in games, following a story at my pace and trying to experience all that the game has to offer. The variety that's been added to this game over time is amazing and really gives a lot of cool stuff to see and do. I also like the crafting system in the console version. In the early PC days, I remember having a browser window open to a community site listing recipes, searching for what you could build and how to build it. If you couldn't find what you were thinking, you'd have to just start putting stuff in the crafting box, making shapes with materials, and just guessing and searching and trying to find something that may or may not work. Finally, I want to call out the things that people have created in Minecraft over the years. Now, I get it, these aren't something that you just get when you open and start playing the game, but people have created worlds with scale models of starships. They've built worlds with working computers and calculators. They've built worlds with historical locations. People have created theme parks with rides, cities to explore. This game is really an amazing sandbox, and that's definitely something to like about it. My final verdict on this game hasn't changed since I got it back in alpha. Go ahead and get this game. In fact, by now, everyone should have this game somewhere. If it's on a console, great. If it's on PC, perfect. The amount of gameplay you get for your investment is just amazing, and on PC especially, this has always been very mod friendly, launching a large number of people over the years into creative careers and into game development careers. I own the classic Java version of the game, I own the Windows 10 version of the game, I have it now on Xbox, and I'll be getting the RTX version when I've got the video card and CPU next spring to support it. This is a game that you can enjoy by yourself, with a spouse, with your kids, with your friends. There's just not really a good reason to pass up on this game. Thanks for joining me on this month's Game Pass review. There are 3 more games I'm hoping to get reviews out for in the next week or two, as well as the weekly quests that happen every Tuesday. Stick around the channel to see this stuff as they drops, and maybe even catch me on a live stream once in a while.